we know that the person of the Khalif, the position of Khilafah, it's impossible for a kafir to uphold that position truly. And it is a sin for someone who is a mu'min to willingly pass it down to someone who is a kafir. And we know this from Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah's book, Lam'atul I'tiqad, which if I'm not mistaken, either chapter 4 or chapter 5. And this would be found in page 156. Second of all, is the following, is that we have a Sahih hadith about inheritance in terms of the inheritance of leadership. Yeah? And in this hadith, it basically tells us that a disbeliever cannot inherit from a kafir. And what I'm going to post is in the debate sources. Yeah? It says here, and this is the fatwa illustrated by Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah ibn Baz from the Permanent Committee for Scholarly Research and Ifta. Question was given by an individual, said, it is known that a kafir does not inherit from a Muslim nor a Muslim from a kafir. What is the ruling if a Muslim father does? And this is in regards to only inheritance of the father. But even in this case, in the slightest of exceptional cases, it tells us that the most preferable view held by the vast majority of scholars, that they are not entitled to any shares of the property. Second, the third thing is that we have, and I posted the link for the fatwa in the debate sources. Third thing is that we have no evidence from the Salaf as-Salih or from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or even from the Khalaf that inheritance to a kafir is halal. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, according to the istinbat of the maraji' of the Shia, it's also haram. Otherwise, a marji' can hand it over to a Christian, and the Christian can then say the Pope is your new marji'. Yeah? So this would be an entirely nonsensical claim to make. So what I can conclude here is the first point, and this is the first point I want to illustrate to the individuals and the following people. Al-Hasan, alayhi salam, radiyallahu anhu, Imam Al-Hasan proceeded to write a treaty with Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. And in this treaty, we directly take a look. We can take a look at, for example, from Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari, in a 10th century Islamic writer. He proceeds to point out 5 things that are included in the treaty. 1, authority will be handed to Muawiyah provided that he should act according to the book of Allah, the Sunnah of the Prophet, and the behavior of the righteous caliphs. Yeah? And we know that Al-Hasan seceded the authority of the Khilafah. So this means that Muawiyah acted in according to the book of Allah, the Sunnah of the Prophet, and the behavior of the righteous Khulafa. Had he rejected that, Al-Hasan wouldn't have handed it away. Otherwise, Hasan will be contradicting himself. Second, it says that authority should be for Imam Hasan after Muawiyah, and if an accident occurs, authority should go to Imam Hussein. And this authority should not be entrusted to anyone else. 3, Muawiyah should abandon, it says that Muawiyah should be abandoned the cursing of the faithful Imam Ali and practice the using of qunut and salat against him. Muawiyah should also mention Imam Ali unless in a good manner. This was imposed, by the way, by Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan himself. Yeah, because there's a giant misconception that they think that this is a condition, one of the conditions that Hassan ibn Ali proposed to Muawiyah. But rather it is the opposite. And Muawiyah also added onto the treaty that he would exclude what in terms of the treasury that he has in Kufa, and the handing over of authority would not assume the amount of money. And the 5th and final point is the people should be safe wherever they are on earth, and Muawiyah should not seek calamity secretly or openly for Imam al-Hasan nor for Imam Hussein, nor in terms of the Prophet's Ahlul Bayt. In which afterwards there is literally no evidence prior or after from the i'timad of the ulama in terms of this. So that is the first point I want to make. And I urge the brother that I'm debating against to fully cohesively respond to this point, so we're able to reach a valid conclusion on the events that took place. Now, in order for us to discuss Muawiyah, the first thing we have to clear up is Al-Hasan's treaty, and whether Al-Hasan's treaty was righteous or unrighteous. And if there's any doubts about Al-Hasan's treaty, inshallah, we will take a look at the istinbat together and the dalail for what he has written in the treaty and how he willingly handed it over to the 6th Khalifa of Islam, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiyallahu anhu.
الطاهرين اللهم يسر لي أمري اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. First thing I want to say that we agreed in the term that one of the conditions of this debate is not to make la'an and never do taradhi also on anyone or on any holy figure of other side. But anyway, I want to care about this. Go ahead, brother Jihadist, and do whatever you want. First of all, you trying to use the treaty of Imam al-Hassan as a way or as a proof that Muawiyah is a mu'min doesn't make sense, because yes, Imam al-Hassan is the rightful Khalifa, but when you are weak and when you are alone against an army of people, which is of course Muawiyah and his people, and you have no one besides you, as you can read in the Sirah Alam al-Nubala I presented, إلا وإن معاوية دعانا إلى أمر ليس فيه عز ولا نصف فإن أردتم الموت رددناه عليه وإن أردتم الحياة قبلناه قال فناداه القوم من كل جانب التقية فلما أفردوه أمضى الصلح. The people with Imam Hassan wanted taqiyya. They didn't want to fight. They wanted peace. Imam al-Hassan was alone. He couldn't do anything. He gave the mulk, not khilafah. Imam al-Hassan was the khalifa. Muawiyah is not a khalifa. Read in Bidayah wa Nihaya, as I showed, he has a bab, has a head topic that says ذكر أيام معاوية بن أبي سفيان وملكه, the days of Muawiyah and his kingship, not khilafah. Muawiyah is not a khalifa. He's a king. He's one of the kings of Islam. And also, if we read in Sunan Abi Dawood, it's Sahih by Al-Albani, the Prophet said, "Khilafat al-nubuwwa 30 sana thumma ya'ti Allah al-mulka man yasha." The khilafah is for 30 years, and then Allah gives kingship to whoever He wills. Okay, so this is what my reply, that even if Imam al-Hassan gave the kingship or the khilafah or the mulk or whatever you want to call it, it's not a proof that Muawiyah is a good person. It might prove that, okay, you have, for you at least, if you want to accept his orders as a leader, now go ahead. But it doesn't prove that he's a good person or he's a pious person or he's a righteous person, because this sulh itself proves that Muawiyah wasn't a good person, because this proves that Muawiyah fought for Khilafah, that he fought Imam Ali and fought Imam Hassan for the Khilafah, and he didn't fight him for the vengeance of Uthman, because if he wanted the vengeance of Uthman, what does the Khilafah, what does the sulh have to do in this case? This is a clear evidence that Muawiyah fought for Khilafah, for leadership. He didn't fight for the blood of Uthman as he claims. Okay? This is my answer, and I hope you understood me.
With that, does that end your introduction?
How much time do I have left?
You have 6 minutes left.
I have 6 minutes. Okay. So I want to go, okay, since I have time, I want to just reply my answer again, since I have it. Okay, Bismillah. So as I said, because Imam al-Hassan was alone, he didn't have enough people with him. Okay, so he was alone. It was reasonable. There was a reason for it, and it was not khilafah. It was mulk, as I said, from what Ibn Kathir said in his book, and what the Sahih Hadith says. It's mulk. It's kingship, not khilafah. And yes, and as Brother Jihadist said, there was reasons. There was conditions for the sulh, for this treaty, that he can't curse, he can't insult Imam Ali, and he said that this was imposed by Muawiyah, not Imam al-Hassan, Let me show you one thing. Bismillah. Here it is. شرط الحسن. This from تاريخ أبي الفداء. This from تاريخ أبي الفداء. وأن لا يسب عليا فلم يجبه إلى الكف عن سب علي فطلب الحسن أن لا يشتم عليا وهو يسمع فأتاه إلى ذلك ثم لم يفي له به. أبي الفداء in his تاريخ says that Al-Hassan gave this condition for Muawiyah, and Muawiyah didn't reply back, and he didn't keep his words, and he kept on insulting, and I'm going to prove it that Muawiyah was insulting and was making la'an Imam Ali after we finish this point, inshallah. Okay. Also, if this sulh proves that Muawiyah is a good person, then the sulh of Prophet Muhammad with the kuffar in Sulh al-Hudaybiyah must prove that mushrikeen are also good people, pious people. The sulh was for reasons, and these reasons are reasonable, and they are accepted because he didn't have enough force and he didn't have enough power. Just like the Prophet did with the mushrikeen in the Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Imam al-Hassan did the same thing with Muawiyah. And the Sulh proves that Muawiyah is a bad person, not a good person. This is my answer, inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Thank you both for giving your introductions. With that, we go into 10-minute rebuttals, I believe. So, Jihadist, you have the floor.
Okay, so first of all, I've noted down several things, one of which he mentioned the hadith, which I found to be very interesting considering he did not mention the full version of the hadith. There are two versions of this hadith, one which he proceeded to mention. First of all, he said, Safina reported the Messenger of Allah saying the caliphate of the prophecy will last 30 years, then Allah will give the kingdom to whom he wishes or his kingdom to whom he wishes. The opponent currently has just displayed to the public poor understanding of hadith sciences, because there are two versions of a Hasan Sahih hadith. One of which is Sahih li ghayrih. So it's Hasan Sahih li ghayrih. Sahih li ghayrih is a form of grading of Sahih, which means we know this saying took place, but not in the essence of the same exact thing you're reading. It's actually in a different hadith. Now, if we take a look at the original one, narrated Safina, the Prophet ﷺ said the caliphate of the prophecy will last 30 years, and Allah give to his kingdom to anyone he wills. Sa'ad told Safina that Safina said to him, calculate Abu Bakr's caliphate is 2 years, Umar is 10, Uthman's is 12, and Ali and so and so. Sa'ad said, I said to Safina, they conceived that Ali was not a caliph. He replied, the buttocks of Marwan told a lie. Because if he was listing the first chapter of the Khilafah, because this is what they use, by the way, to try and say that we don't apply the same standard to Ali because it wouldn't count Ali. They try to use this hadith to justify it. But in reality, we actually do justify it because we replied that the buttocks of Marwan told a lie. Then the second thing afterwards, in terms of this, is very simple. Did everyone, I just want to check with the admins, did everyone hear my words clearly?
Yes, we did.
Alhamdulillah,
Yes.
okay. So, second of all, I noticed that he brought Abu al-Fida. Ismail bin Ali, Mahmud bin Muhammad bin Umar, bin Shahanshah, bin Ayyub, bin Shadi, bin Marwan, or Abu al-Fida. But what I find the most interesting is that he did not mention the completion or the tasheeh of Abu al-Fida, which is the complete history by Ali ibn al-Athir. In which Ibn al-Athir himself proceeds to explain that certain things in the books of Abu al-Fida is not mu'tamad. Not mu'tamad meaning that some of the stuff he says is not proven. Laysa muthabbat. That's number one. Number two, if we actually read the book that was made of the same name, which is Al-Tarikh Al-Kamil by Ali ibn al-Athir, he directly tells us and explains to us that actually this tenet was not even found, the tenet of the cursing thing. And he proposes that Muawiyah never cursed Ali, actually. And there is no ithbatat for it. And that's what the Salaf is upon today. The Salafis are upon today. Another thing, we have an individual, which is Imam al-Suyuti, Jalal al-Din al-Khudayri, and it's translated by Jalal al-Din Khudayri, in which he explains in Tarikh al-Khulafa yeah, and from our i'timad, he explains on the first page one simple thing. He explains that anything that occurs between Muawiyah and Ali has to be from the istinbat of the Sunnah. So what does this mean from istinbat of the Sunnah? That means we have to use the Sunnah accordingly to take a look at Muawiyah, in which we have no direct narrations of him proceeding to curse Ali. All the narrations are fabricated. Now, the second thing that or da'if, or heavily da'if due to individuals in the isnad. Now, I've posted the thing up on top, which is volume 3, book 49, number 867, which my opponent failed to address, which I found quite interesting, because he does not want to admit that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan is a Muslim. Here's a challenge that I issue to my opponent. Narrated by Hassan al-Basri, by Allah, Al-Hasan bin Ali led large battalions like mountains against Muawiyah. Amr ibn al-As said to Muawiyah, I surely see battalions which will not turn back before killing their opponents. Muawiyah, who was really the best of the two men, said to him, Oh Amr, if these killed those and those killed these, who would be left with me for jobs of the public? Who would be left with me for their women? Who would be left with me for their children? Then Muawiyah sent two Qurayshi men from the tribe of Abd al-Shams, called Abdul Rahman ibn Sumura and Abdullah ibn Amr bin Qurayz, to Al-Hasan, saying to them, Go to this man, Al-Hasan, and negotiate peace with him and appeal to him. So they went to Al-Hasan and talked and appealed to him to accept peace. Al-Hasan said, We the offspring of Abdul Muttalib, have got wealth, and the people have indulged in the killing and corruption. They said to Al-Hasan, Muawiyah offers you so and so. Notice, Muawiyah offers you so and so, and appeals to you and entreats you to accept the peace. Al-Hasan said to them, But who will be responsible for what you have said? They said, We will be responsible for it. So whatever Al-Hasan asked, he said, We will be responsible for it to you, and this comes in terms of the war effort. So Al-Hasan concluded a peace treaty with Muawiyah, and Al-Hasan al-Basri said, I heard Abu Bakr saying, I saw Allah's apostle on the pulpit, and Al-Hasan bin Ali was by his side, and the Prophet was looking once at the people and once at Al-Hasan bin Ali, saying, the son of mine is a Sayyid, and may Allah make peace between two big groups of what? Of Muslims through him. What I want to challenge my opponent in is to find me a single narration that is likened to this that does not refer to them as Muslims. Because we even know from Shia sources, which I'm about to pull up, that Ali bin Abi Talib himself never even declared Muawiyah a kafir. He actually declared him a Muslim. Ali bin Abi Talib never made takfir on anyone fighting him. This is all taught by Kufan scholars that the Shias have. For example, we have in Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad, chapter 3, page 205. And I'm going to post this in the chat. Yeah, this evidence for it. In the debate sources. Imam bin Talha came to Ali and was greeted by him. Imran said, You greet me in this kind manner after killing my father. Ali then said, I hope that your father and I from those that Allah said about them. And we will root out whatever rancor is in their breast. They shall be as brethren on raised couches face to face. This is in Surah Al-Hijr. Unless they want to admit now that Ali misquoted the Quran. A man from the tribe of Hamdan then said, Allah is more just than to do such a thing. Yeah? Ali then screamed, which shook the house. Then who is this verse if it isn't about us? Yeah? For those who don't know a man about the tribe of Hamdan, you can go find him in the Shia narrations. He was actually one of the people who proceeded to abandon Ali in the war effort. And this is actually where they derived their stuff this. And afterwards, in terms of the Ali, this is Ali who did not want to be part of fitnat al-Jamal. We don't say Ali was involved in the fitna or had any perspective on the fitna. In fact, the Sahaba never would stoop so low to begin insulting each other and calling each other kuffar and doing la'an upon one another. This is ghulu. And anyone who proceeds to insult the companions should be ashamed themselves. Because even your own infallible imam, the very first infallible imam, in which you do not count the Prophet amongst them, proceeded to directly say that they are not kuffar. And I directly challenge my opponent to bring me two narrations of this hadith that differ in the understanding, and not only that, to prove to me how this hadith that I just quoted in Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad and how it is da'if.
Does that end your 10-minute rebuttal?
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So first of all, Brother Jihadist didn't prove that Muawiyah is a Khalifa. As I said, he's a king. And just like Bin Kathir said in his book, the kingship of Muawiyah, not the Khilafah of Muawiyah. Okay. Secondly, Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad isn't a Shia source, and your challenge is not that to be considered to me because I don't take from these sources. I'm Shi'i. Okay. And these are sources. If you want to take them, then sure, go ahead. It's not my problem. It's not a Shia source. Second, Second of all, you talked about Muawiyah, and you wanted to prove that Muawiyah that he's a Muslim because of the hadith of Rasulullah. First of all, we said that Muawiyah is a munafiq. We don't say that he's a kafir. And a munafiq, the rules of Islam applies to him on the zahir, because he's a munafiq, he's not a kafir. So when Rasulullah said he's a Muslim, this is a general. No, he didn't say he's a Muslim. When Rasulullah said that two great groups of Muslims will then get in peace and treaty, it was a general statement. It was general saying from the Prophet. There can be a specific people who are among these groups that are munafiqeen, that are definitely not to be applied. They don't get the same ruling. Okay, we can prove. This is what I want to prove, and this is what I want to prove. This is why I want to move from this. If we move from this topic, and I can present my evidences on why Muawiyah is a munafiq, then you will understand, and you will know our position to this, and you know why we believe he's a munafiq and he's not Muslim, and this hadith doesn't apply to him. Okay, and you said that they didn't. You said about the verse Quran, if I'm not mistaken, that when طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلوا. You presented this verse, right, Brother Jihadist? You can please answer.
Can you repeat the verse?
وإن طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلا فأصلحوا بينهما. If I'm not mistaken, this is the verse, right? You presented it.
Yeah, I presented that Ali said that. Yes, in Surah Al-Hijr.
Okay, great.
Yes, in this hadith.
Great. So if we said this hadith is authentic and is correct, no problem with it. Yes, a lot of the people in the camp of Muawiyah were either ignorant or either they were brainwashed by Muawiyah and his ways of the image and the picture of Imam Ali. And I can prove it to you now how Muawiyah created a generation of nawasib, as what Habi says in Siyar A'lam al-Nubala. Here it says سير أعلام النبلاء وخلف معاوية خلقا كثيرا يحبونه ويتغالون فيه ويفضلونه. And he says ونشأوا على النصب. So the people that Muawiyah created, okay, they loved him very much. They made ghulu in him, and they were nawasib, and he created a generation of nawasib. This proves that he was dirtying the image of Imam Ali by cursing and by insulting, and I can prove this to you, and from the words of Ibn Taymiyyah, okay, and from Sunan Ibn Majah and other sources that Muawiyah was insulting and cursing Imam Ali, okay, and you are trying to deny this, unfortunately, okay. Coming back to the verse that you said, let me show you what was the reason for this verse to be revealed. In Sahih Bukhari, it says in hadith number 2691, in general, the verse was revealed because Abdullah ibn Ubay bin Salul, the head of the munafiqeen in Medina, which we all know who is Abdullah ibn Ubay bin Salul, he insulted the Prophet, and one of the people of the friends of or the companions of the Prophet replied back on him. Someone else from the people of Abdullah ibn Ubay replied back on the companion of the Prophet. Then it was a fight between them, and they were insulting each other. Then the verse got revealed. If you want to apply this verse to Muawiyah and that he's a mu'min, then you must apply it also to Abdullah ibn Ubay bin Salul, because this in the first place it was revealed on him and on his people. If you don't apply this, if you don't want to apply this, then why want to apply to Muawiyah? If you want to apply to Muawiyah, you have to apply to Abdullah ibn Ubay bin Salul, the head of the hypocrisy in Medina and the head of Nifaq. You have to apply to him. I don't believe you can do it, because we all agree that he's munafiq and he's in hellfire. You using this verse is not an evidence. It's a general statement, as I said. A lot of the people in the both camps were either they didn't know, especially in the camp of Muawiyah, they didn't know the haqq. They were brainwashed by Muawiyah, and maybe, who knows, maybe yes, Allah will forgive them, and they are all will be forgiven. And as I said, we believe Muawiyah is a munafiq. So ahkam al-Islam, the rulings of Islam get applied to him because he's a munafiq, and he's not a kafir. And you presented yes, okay. So you used another thing. You used Tabaqat bin Sa'ad. And he's not a Shi'i, as I said, he's a Mu'tazili, and even he's not a hujjah on us. Okay, if it's hujjah on you, go ahead, no problem, I don't care. Okay, so, and your challenge is not to be considered, because as I said, and because I have some time left, let me just show you that some people actually believed that the people who killed the قتلى الفئة الباغية في النار. Some actually believe that who are on the camp of Muawiyah and died with him will go to hellfire. So it says in the Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba قال عن جويبر عن الضحاك في قوله وإن طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلوا قلت فما قتلاهم قال شهداء مرزقون قلت فما حال الأخرى أهل البغي قال في النار. So some people actually believed that the people who died with Muawiyah are in hellfire. And also in Sharh al-Maqasid, no wait, this is wrong. I don't know where I found it. Just forget about it. Okay, for now. So this is what I want to, all what I have to say.
With that, does that complete your 10-minute rebuttal?
Yes.
Okay. Now it resorts back. Thank you for your rebuttal. 1 second while I pull the time up again. And
Is it my turn?
1 second. Yes, your 10-minute rebuttal begins now.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Now, first of all, I've wrote down a couple of things. One of the things that I heard which made me laugh, he tried to say that the munafiq is not a kafir. My opponent has now displayed poor knowledge of the Quran itself. Because there's an entire surah called Surah Al-Munafiqeen, and in verse 3, you'd assume that someone calling someone a munafiq had at the very least, read Surah Al-Munafiqun. Yeah? Where it says in Surah Al-Munafiqun, verse 3, it says, verse 2 and 3, it says, they have made false oaths as their shield, hindering others from the way of Allah. Evil indeed is what they do. This is because they believed and then disbelieved. Yeah? It says, بأنهم آمنوا ثم كفروا. So, so how can they be Muslimin? This is completely nonsensical. That's number one. Number two, Akhi al-Kareem, no one here disagrees that there were some people on both sides that we consider to be bad. There was Khawarij everywhere. That's the whole point of it being fitna. Yeah? Now, when you try to make the claim that Muawiyah quote-unquote brainwashed them, yeah, into being Nawasib or the sorts, okay, that would be entirely untrue. Because we know that Muawiyah radiyallahu anh went and asked Sa'ad ibn Waqqas, he told him, listen, what stops you from insulting Abu Turab? And a lot of them would try to use this and say, oh look, this is Muawiyah insulting Ali. First of all, this is not Muawiyah insulting Ali, but rather he was showing, yeah, the status of Ali by asking Sa'ad ibn Waqqas, because he knew who Sa'ad ibn Waqqas is. He knew who he is. He knew he would defend Ali. And if Muawiyah hated Ali, he wouldn't have called him Abu Turab. Abu Turab is one of the beloved names of Ali. So it doesn't, and he asked them in front of everyone. Why would he embarrass himself like that? Why wouldn't he just curse Ali by his own? And when she told Sa'ad ibn Waqqas to curse him, Sa'ad ibn Waqqas, he asked him why doesn't he curse Abu Turab? And he proceeded to explain Ali's status. Yeah? Now, not only that, if we take a look at, for example, the thing that he listed in Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, Shi'as are very good at this. They're very good at posting images. But let me ask Dolisty a question because he is here. Okay? Read me the name of the chapter.
It's about Muawiyah.
Dolisty.
Muawiyah.
Okay, very good. Now I want you to read at the bottom where it says 1.
Yeah.
It says من قوله منهم على حبه, right? Where is this قول from?
Let's go back and
My friend, you posted evidence and now you cannot even back up your evidence, and you already were
What do you
unable
back
to.
I
You displayed poor knowledge of the Quran. It says at the bottom, it says من قوله, number one, yeah, you see it at the end of your page. Don't act like you don't see it. Here, I'll screenshot it for everyone.
Okay. Wait.
So let me screenshot it here for everyone,
see
just
it,
in case now he's trying to act like he can't see it. Yeah. According to who is this qawl? You see, they like to outline, but they don't outline this part. من قوله منهم على حبه. إلى هنا سقط من المطبوع. من قوله. According to who is this qawl? If you don't know, say I don't know. I will tell you who it is using the same book. This goes to show that you never actually read Siyar A'lam al-Nubala. You're just getting this from your Kufan scholars and your friends who are feeding you nonsense on a daily basis.
You want me to answer?
No, I want you to tell me according to who is this qawl.
This is the qawl of Dhahabi himself.
لا من قوله منهم على حبه. This is you're quoting from سيار أعلام النبلاء authored by الذهبي. الذهبي saying من قوله منهم على حبه إلا هنا سقط من المطبوع. What does this mean? Translate for everyone in the chat.
This is the.
I'm very well aware of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, please translate what it says at number 1 for everyone in the chat. If I'm wrong, it should be clear. I don't know why you're refraining. Go ahead.
سقط من المطبوع means there was mistakes in the publishing of the book. It doesn't say that it is from another guy.
Okay, so now I have a question. Okay, it says there was mistakes in the publishing of the book. What is this mistake? You're saying this is. You're saying this is. This is why I asked you first. من قوله منهم على حبه. You yourself, you said this is Imam al-Dahabi's words. It says إلا هنا سقط عن المطبوع. This is where the publishing error is. And then you proceed to try and tell me that Abu Nafiq is not a kafir. The Quran, let alone the hadith, let alone the hadith. Please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me again. I'm still talking. I asked you a question. You answered it, and then you were unable to answer. You refrained from answering, and when you finally did, you ended up displaying poor knowledge of everything. So this is what I mean when I say they don't actually read the books they post. They just highlight what their scholars tell them to highlight, and they come running and they go, look, your books. It says it in your books.
Ad hominem.
Oh, what? There's an error.
Ad hominem.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to intrude on the debate, but if we could keep any laughing, any derogatory remarks, or any rudeness that might be displayed, I won't say who's doing it, but in a general sense, if we could keep that to the absolute minimum to where it's non-existent, that would be great for a civil debate. Thank you. Continue.
So this is why they would come running to us and say, look, it's in your books, but they don't actually read the fine print underneath. Yeah, where it's saying that there's an error in publishing. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2 is that in terms of the chapter itself, first of all, we all know that Siyar A'lam al-Nubala has an i'timad. Okay, and for the ahadith written by Siyar A'lam al-Nubala has an isnad. Now the fourth point that I wanted to make, on top of all of this, is the hadith from Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad. Okay? From Tabaqat ibn Sa'ad. I did not ask you whether this is a Sunni book or a Shia book. Ibn Sa'ad was a Mu'tazilite. Yeah? So it's neither Sunnah nor a Shia book, but he narrates things that some of them are Sahih. So I'm telling you, if he's narrating something that is Sahih, okay, what I'm urging you to do, okay, and what I'm urging you to do is just to simply prove to me how you would consider this hadith to be da'if. Use your ilm al-rijal, use your knowledge of the hadith sciences, even from the Shi'i standards, and prove to me how this hadith is da'if. please. Because if we are going to go forward with saying that Muawiyah is a munafiq, which means that he is a kafir, then we need to first take a look at what Ali bin Abi Talib said about him, which we know Ali bin Abi Talib never did takfir of his enemies. He never did. He would never stoop solo to do takfir. Not only that, it says in the Quran al-Kareem, chapter 4, verse 145, it says, indeed, the hypocrites will be in the lowest depths of fire, and never will you find for them a helper. Never will you find for them a helper. They will not be helped in this world. They will not be helped in this world. Yes? Now you're telling me that Muawiyah was helped in this world by despite the Quran saying that there is no help for him? This is, I'm sorry, but this is a complete illogical point. And to this standard now that we have held so far, which you have not provided the person of the provider of the qawl and the issue of the tab'a that you proceeded to provide, but also in the other narrations that you have posted, it says حدثنا مسدد. Okay? Now what I'm going to do on top of all of this, now you have to answer these forward. How many minutes do I have left with the administrators, if I may check?
You have a little over a minute left.
Okay, so not only on top of that, now will you have to answer, and you'll have to answer to the objection that a munafiq isn't a kafir, and I urge everyone to listen to his response to whether a munafiq is a kafir or not. You'd also now have to provide the isnad for all the hadith that you have posted, and the full sanad, please, on top of explaining the issue of إلى هنا سقط من المطبوع.
لا لا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد.
Well, one second before you begin, Dolisty, I have to reset the timer. Thank you, Jihadist, for your 10-minute rebuttal. And without further ado, your 10-minute rebuttal begins now, Dolisty.
Ya Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So first of all, you said that you tried to shame me for using Sir Alam al-Nubala, and these are the words of Al-Dhahabi. These are the words of the Dhahabi. The thing in the footnote is not important. He's not talking about Muawiyah. He's talking about Imam Ali. Because if you continue, as I sent to you, you were just trying to shame me. Anyways, وَنَشَأُ عَلَى النَّصْبِ نَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ هَذَا الْهَوَى. Here he stopped talking about Muawiyah, and then he started talking about Imam Ali. قَدْ نَشَأَ جَيْشُ عَلِيٍّ وَرَعِيَّتُهُ إِلَّا الْخَوَارِجِ عَلَى حُبِّهِ وَالْقِيَامِ مَعَهُ. And the people of Imam Ali who were with him, they grew up on loving him and fighting beside him. Okay? And until he says وَغَلَى خَلْقٌ مِّنْهُمْ فِي التَّشَيُّعِ. And some people of them made غلو in the تشيع. Okay? Here in the footnote it says من قوله منهم على حبه إلى هنا سقط من المطبوع. This is what I'm telling you. These are sentences and phrases used when they're talking about publishings and books and different publishings of other books. See, this edition of Siyar A'lam Nubala is from Mu'assasat Risala is the best Siyar A'lam Nubala book out there, and it was worked on by Shu'aib al-Arnaout. Okay, whatever you said, is it considered? It was said about Imam Ali, not about Muawiyah, and it's about another thing. It's about another thing different from the topic you are trying to prove. Second of all, I didn't say that Muawiyah is a kafir. I said he's a munafiq, and munafiq, the ahkam al-Islam applies to him. The rulings of Islam applies to a munafiq. I don't even need to prove this to you. This is very well known that a munafiq doesn't. You can marry a munafiq. You can eat the dhabiha of the munafiq. You can. Everything that applies to a Muslim can be applied to a munafiq. Okay. So when I said, so this is why you are trying to change my words or put words in my mouth. I didn't say he's a kafir. I said he's a munafiq. Okay. Second of all, Secondly, you said you want me to prove that Ibn Sa'ad, the narration of Ibn Sa'ad is weak from Shia standards. From Shia standards, Ibn Sa'ad is not reliable. It is a Sunni source. We don't take from it. This is my response to you. Ibn Sa'ad book, Tabaqat, is not a Shi'i book. It's a Sunni book. So it's completely unreliable. Whatever comes in it is not a hujjah upon us, it's a hujjah upon you. And I want to remind you, brother Jihadist, what you told me yesterday, that you said a hujjah on you are the books of the Hanabila and the books of Salaf and the people who have the same aqidah as you. Why are you taking from Ibn Sa'ad al-Mu'tazili? Huh? Why are you contradicting yourself? You said this to me yesterday, remember, or you don't? Okay? Then you said, you talked about the cursing and insulting about and the hadith of in Sahih Muslim. Let me bring for you Minhaj al-Sunnah al-Nabawiyah for Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam. Your Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, what did he say about this hadith? وأما حديث سعد لما أمره معاوية بالسب فأبى فهذا حديث صحيح رواه مسلم في صحيحه. Ibn Taymiyyah admits that this hadith is clear that it's Muawiyah telling Sa'ad to insult Imam Ali. This is Ibn Taymiyyah. Do I take your words or do I take the words of Shaykh al-Islam? Huh? Why are you contradicting your scholar Shaykh al-Islam right now? I don't know. And in Sunan Ibn Majah, Sharah al-Sindi, al-Alama al-Imam al-Sindi, what does he say when he comes to the hadith? And of course the hadith now, it's the same hadith but with different wordings, with clearer wordings also. In Sunan Ibn Majah says, قَدِمَ مُعَاوِيَةُ فِي بَعْضِ حَجَّاتِهِ فَدَخَلَ عَلَيْهِ السَّاعَةُ فَذَكَرُوا عَلِيًّا فَنَالَ مِنْهُ. This is clear that Muawiyah, from the hadith, that Muawiyah insulted Imam Ali. Come to, in the footnote, what does Imam Sindi says? قوله فنال منه أي نال معاوية من علي ووقع فيه وسبه بل أمر سعدا بالسب كما قيل في مسلم والترمذي. This contradicts all of what you said and all of the stuff that you claimed. Imam al-Sindi and Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah admits that the hadith in Muslim and this one in Sunan Ibn Majah and in Tirmidhi, they all prove that Muawiyah insulted and cursed, not cursed, so that I don't be lying. He insulted and he ordered Sa'ad to insult also. And if you insult Ali, what does this mean? Come to Al-Mustadrak al-Sahihayn lil-Hakim al-Naysaburi. What does Ibn Abbas says? In the hadith, Ibn Abbas heard someone insulting Imam Ali. What did he tell him? Ya adu Allah, O enemy of Allah, you adayta Rasulullah, أذيت رسول الله إن الذين يؤذون الله ورسوله لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة وعد لهم عذابا مهينا. Those who insult the Imam Ali are cursed in the dunya and in al-akhirah. Okay, this proves to you that Muawiyah is what? It's up to you. You can understand from this hadith the position of Muawiyah. We come to al-Uqd al-Farid. Okay, what does he say? لما مات الحسن بن علي حج معاوية فدخل المدينة وأراد أن يلعن عليا على منبر رسول الله استغفر الله العظيم. Muawiyah came to Medina and he wanted to curse Imam Ali on the minbar of Rasulullah. استغفر الله العظيم. How can you love such man? فأمسك معاوية عن لعنه حتى مات سعد فلما مات لعنه على المنابر وكتب إلى عماله أن يلعنوه على المنابر ففعلوا. And when Sa'ad died, because Sa'ad didn't allow Muawiyah to curse him, when Sa'ad died, Muawiyah cursed Imam Ali on the manabir, and he also ordered his people to curse him on the manabir also. And Salama came and said, إنكم تلعنون الله ورسوله على منابركم وذلك أنكم تلعنون علي بن أبي طالب ومن أحبه وأنا أشهد أن الله أحبه ورسوله فلم يلتفت إلى كلامها. Salama came to Muawiyah and told him that you are insulting and cursing Allah and the Prophet and Imam Ali. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Can we believe such man is a Muslim now? Can we believe he on Iman? And he doesn't care. And he فلم يلتفت إلى كلامها, and he didn't consider what she said. This proves, as we believe, that Muawiyah insulted Imam Ali, and only these two hadith are enough. From Minhaj al-Sunnah, from what Ibn Taymiyyah said, that he said that the hadith in Muslim is clear that Muawiyah insulted and ordered the insulting, and in Sunan Ibn Majah, and what Ibn Sindi said. Okay? How much time do I have left?
You have a little over 2 minutes remaining.
Okay, let me see if I think. Okay, here another hadith from Musnad Ahmed, from your Imam Ahmed. Okay, it says in his Musnad: دخلت على أم سلمة فقالت لي أيسب رسول الله فيكم؟ قلت معاذ الله وسبحان الله كلمة نحوها. قالت سمعت رسول الله يقول من سب عليا فقد سبني. Whoever insulted Ali insulted me. This proves that Muawiyah insulted Rasulullah, and who insults Rasulullah is mal'oon, as in the hadith in the Mustadrak, as I showed to you. Who insults Rasulullah is mal'oon fi dunya wal akhirah. Okay, I believe this is enough for now. I finished.
Okay. Is it my time to speak now? Moderators?
Just to confirm, are you done with your 10 minutes, Dolisty?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And without further ado, your 10-minute rebuttal begins now, Jihadist.
Tamam. Okay, so first of all, he mentioned a few things. First of all, he tried to appeal to emotion, which is a fallacy, which is quite interesting. I'm going to disregard that. Now, in regards to the hadith that he spoke about, where he says that Ibn Taymiyyah narrated, yes, Marwi. ولكن Marwi does not mean mawjood. Marwi does not mean it actually occurred. Second of all, he failed to provide the isnad for it. Okay? He did not provide the isnad. Not only that, in the same hadith he posted, he fails to notice that it says at the bottom, سقط من. Yeah? See, this is what I mean. At the very bottom of all these narrations, you can find the istanbatat. At the very bottom hadith that he posted, which says, whoever curses Ali curses the Prophet, I have no problem with that. I accept as sahih 100%. But you have not provided that Muawiyah cursed Ali. That's number one. Number two, if Muawiyah wanted to curse Ali, he wouldn't have called him Abu Turab. Abu Turab is a good name for Ali. So in order for this to even be valid, we need to pull out the i'timad for it. So if you want to pull out the i'timad for it, okay, you're gonna have to now, since you provided a hadith in terms of Muawiyah, for example, the first one at the top, let's pull it up here, where it says, أخبرني محمد بن أحمد بن تميم القنطري. Yes? Ahmad bin Tamim al-Qantari. And it raises the issue of what? It goes ثنى أبو قلابة الرقاشي ثنى أبو عاصم عن عبد الله بن المأمول. Yeah? So if we take a look at the isnad of this hadith, you would find that the only narration that calls this hadith sahih is one book. Wallahi, one book. And this is at-Takhlis. That's it. That's the only book that calls it sahih. But all the other scholars, there is no i'timad for it. So this is now already the first issue. Second of all, there's an issue with the matan of the hadith already. Because we have a hadith where Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu says Muawiyah is a faqih, and it's one of his fada'il. Let me pull up the hadith here. This is from Imam Ahmed. Okay? And not only that, in terms of Ibn Sa'd, since you brought up the issue of Ibn Sa'd, let me pull up just the hadith of here. Here it is. Okay, meanwhile, I'll put the hadith momentarily. And this here it is in Sahih Bukhari, hadith 109. Found it. There we go. Ibn Abbas said Muawiyah is a faqih. So there's already an issue with the matan. Why would Ibn Abbas be fighting with Muawiyah? There's already an issue of the matan because we know that Ibn Abbas actually let Muawiyah he said Muawiyah is a faqih. So that the terminology would not apply. There would be an issue with the matan of your hadith, which you still would not have provided the isnad for. Second of all, or in terms of its authenticity, outside the one book that is quoted at the bottom of the page. Second of all, in regards to your objection about Ibn Sa'd, first of all, in terms of a hadith, Ibn Sa'd is authentic. He doesn't lie in hadith. He's a Mu'tazilite. Yes, we reject his aqidah. Yes, but his hadith is sahih. He's honest about his hadith. So we're allowed to take from his hadith. Okay? Now, if we take a look in terms of this hadith, because he's saying that he rejects it. They're saying he doesn't accept Ibn Sa'd because Ibn Sa'd is a Sunni source. First of all, Ibn Sa'd is not a Sunni source. You admitted it yourself, he's a Mu'tazilite. So you would not even consider him a Sunni source by your account. Second of all, the narrator of this hadith is Khalid ibn Mukhlid al-Qatwani. Khalid ibn Mukhlid al-Qatwani. For those who don't know what Khalid ibn Mukhlid al-Qatwani, he was a Shi'i. Yeah? A Shi'i. So unless, and he was from the second generation of the companions of Ali bin Abi Talib, that means he personally knew the Imam right after Al-Hussein. Yeah? Or was the follower of the Imam right after Hussein. So unless he is now doing tankir of the individual from Rijal al-Shia by the name of Khalid ibn Mukhlid al-Qatwani, then that is his entire choice, no problem. Okay? Not only that, we have here from Ibn Abbas in Majallat al-Hadith of Sheikh Zubair Ali. And we take a look at Musannaf Abdul Razzaq as well. I posted it. Said, I have not seen more applicable for ruling after the Khilafah of the four caliphs better than Muawiyah. This is also found in Tarikh Dimashq. And this is found in Majallat al-Hadith by Sheikh Zubair Ali and Musannaf Abdul Razzaq. And the sources are listed. Another hadith that we have from Ibn Abbas, and this is just to go and show that the matan that he's presenting to me from Ibn Abbas is completely uncorroborated. My opponent has displayed so far poor understanding of the hadith sciences. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says, he says, ما كان معاوية على الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم متهما. Muawiyah did not lie nor accuse the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is in Musnad Ahmad. You are quoting to me our sources, but you don't understand the sciences of our sources. You don't narrate this from Musnad Ahmad. How come? And this is sahih. This is sahih according to Shu'aib al-Arnawout. Yeah, sahih too according to Ahmad ibn Hanbal. This is sahih according to Imam al-Dahabi as well. This is sahih according to Ibn Taymiyyah as well. This is sahih according to Albani as well. This is sahih according to Ibn Hatim as well. This is sahih according to many scholars of a hadith. What you have sent me is a hadith that only one singular book and one individual scholar says it's sahih. You have not provided any istinbat as to why we should accept this as part of the hadith sciences, regardless of the broken matan that you have shown me. Second of all, Ibn Abbas was also a friend of Muawiyah. We can take a look in Musnad Ahmad and Musnad in terms of the hadith number 1880. Ibn Abbas said he did tawaf of Baytullah with Muawiyah. Muawiyah kissed all the corners of the Kaaba. Ibn Abbas says, Muawiyah kissing this corner of the Kaaba, says, peace be upon him, did not kiss. Muawiyah replied, nothing in Baytullah should be left. Ibn Abbas replied, the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is moral for you, and Muawiyah said, you are truthful. So I know that Muawiyah was not individual of this. The words of cursing has been described of gharib by Ahmad ibn Hanbal, which you failed to mention, by the way. Now, what I want to challenge my opponent is, I want you to bring me one single narration from a Sahabi outside of Sa'd ibn Waqqas. One Sahabi that spoke about this, that said Muawiyah cursed Ali. One. How many? And just so I could check with the administrators, how many minutes do I have? One Sahih hadith. But how many minutes do I have?
A little less than 2 minutes remaining.
A little less than 2 minutes. Okay, so while I have a little bit of time, what I wanted to show you was something very interesting. Okay, and this is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, and why these are hadith that he sends us from these books are not mu'tamada, because of the matan. What matan simply means, ya ikhwa, matan, it means that there is a sahih hadith that is more authentic than this, contradicting this one. So we reject the one that is considered contradictory to the most authentic one. Okay. So in the matan, the Rasul sallallahu, in terms of this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says a prophecy about Muawiyah. Yeah? And he says in terms of this virtue of Muawiyah, he says, Ya Allah, make Muawiyah a guider and also good at math. Yes? A guider. On top of what Ibn Abbas said, which is Sahih. And this is the hadith of the virtue of Muawiyah. This is also listed in multiple other books, including Tarikh al-Akbar. Including Tarikh al-Akbar. Not only that, we have from Sheikh Muhammad Amin al-Shinqiti.
35 seconds remaining.
He's an authentic shaheed in Musnad Ahmad. Okay? Let me just find it here. Because some of the words I cannot post here. I don't know why it's not letting me post this hadith. It keeps censoring it. So can the admins is able to post it?
15 seconds remaining.
Let me just see if I could. I'll just post a screenshot of it, where we could clearly see that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan is free from all this nonsense. Now, what I might add, and I urge my opponent to actually accept and address the challenge rather than avoiding it, and that is to address to me the istinbat and the sciences behind why the matan of the hadith he brought to me, and as to why we, as members of Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, should throw away our Sahih hadith and throw away our sciences of the matan in acceptance of the hadith that he proceeded to reply to us. Okay? Should be a very simple challenge for him to accept. Since he is looking into our books, he must be well versed in our hadith.
Ya Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah. So first of all,
one second while I sorry. 1 second while I reset the time. Just to clarify, since Jihadist went a little over the 10-minute limit, if needed be, you have a little extra time to go over the 10-minute limit as well.
Inshallah.
Your time starts now.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So first of all, Brother Jihadist, what he said that Ibn Taymiyyah didn't mention the hadith in his Minhaj Sunnah, and I didn't provide a source. I don't need to provide a source for you. Ibn Taymiyyah said the hadith is in Sahih Muslim. If this hadith that you speak about is not in Sahih Muslim, then we are in big trouble. Does this prove that there's a hadith in Sahih Muslim that is clear that Muawiyah insulted Imam Ali and now it's not there? Is Sahih Muslim muharraf? Now you are trying to say, in this way you are saying that Sahih Muslim is muharraf. Okay? What Ibn Taymiyyah said here is he is pointing to the hadith in Sahih Muslim that you yourself quoted, and you said that it's actually because Muawiyah wanted to show the merits of Imam Ali, while it's not true. As Ibn Taymiyyah said, it's clear it's him ordering Sa'ad to insult Imam Ali. Okay, this is first of all. Now you said this hadith is not sahih, or not everyone, no one authenticated it. In Dar es-Salam, they said it's sahih, for example. Okay. Also, it's in other books. It's also sahih, not only in Dar es-Salam and not in other places. Okay. And you brought up some of Muawiyah merits. Well, look what your scholars say. There is no single sahih merit from the Prophet about Muawiyah. No single sahih merit. All of these you presented are all false, all unconsidered. They are all not reliable. إن سير أعلام النبلاء حدثنا أبي سمعت ابن راهويه يقول لا يصح عن النبي في فضائل معاوية شيء. Okay, there is no single authentic merit from the Prophet about Muawiyah. No. And المغني عن الحفظ والكتاب, the same thing. In كتاب الموضوعات لابن الجوزي, the same thing mentioned. And also in كتاب المغني المنار المنيف في الصحيح والضعيف, the same thing is mentioned. No single authentic virtue for Muawiyah. All of these hadith you presented are all unconsidered. And I'm also I don't know why Vic and Jihadi Fatima posted hadiths in this chat. I thought it is just me and you. So just I hope it doesn't happen again.
It was just the same hadith that you had posted.
Yeah. Anyways. قوله أبو تراب. You said, why does Ibn Taymiyyah say Abu Turab? Why he said Abu Turab if it's the best name to Imam Ali? This proves that he actually used the best name that Imam, and the most name that Imam Ali loved, he used it to insult him. It's proof how he was and how the way of nifaq that he had. Okay, it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove your point. It proves ours. And as I said, it's in the Sahih Hadith, and Ibn Taymiyyah said it's Sahih, and it's why you should take it and dismantle or forget about the Sahih Hadith. This is a Sahih Hadith in Sahih Muslim. Okay, and he said that it is it's Sahih, and it's clear that he ordered and the insulting of Imam Ali. Okay, you said about Ibn Sa'd in his tabaqat. As I said again, as I will say it again, Ibn Sa'd is not a Shi'i source, is a Sunni source. And you said he's a Mu'tazila. How is he Sunni? Mu'tazila basically they follow they followed the Sunnah, they followed the Sahih Bukhari. They don't believe in Imamah. They are not like us. And it's a Sunni source because you have it with you and because you have it in your websites. In Maktab al-Waqfiyya, the number one Salafi website, you can find it there, the Tabaqat of Ibn Sa'd. So it's a Sunni, it's not a Shi'i source. This enough proves that it's not reliable. Even if the narrator was a Shi'i, who cares? It's at the end, it's in your books. It's just like someone, I remember in a website, someone was trying to prove a point to Shia from the Sunni books, that Imam Ali loved Abu Bakr and Umar because it's narrated from Shias. Who cares? It's in your books. It's not hujjah. If you want to make this a hujjah on me, then I can use muwathaq hadith in my books as a hujjah on you, because they are narrated from Amma, from the Ahlus Sunnah also, not necessarily narrated from all Shia. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. We don't accept this narration. If you want to accept it, I don't care. It's in your books, so it's not in mine, so it's not be considered. How many times do I left?
You have 4 minutes and 42 seconds remaining.
Okay. Also, okay, let's see in Minhaj al-Sunnah. Wait. Also Ibn Taymiyyah himself, what does he say? ولكن لعلي من الفضائل الثابتة في الصحيحين وغيرهما ومعاوية ليس له بخصوص فضيلة في الصحيح لكن قد شهد مع رسول الله حيث والطائف وتبوك and etc. There is no Sahih authentic narration that any virtue for Muawiyah. There is no authentic virtue for Muawiyah. What are his virtues? That he's a Sahabi, that the Prophet, and that's it. And we can prove, and these are not proofs enough that he's a good person. And as we will, inshallah, can prove if we finish the discussion, and I can go ahead and present my points on how Muawiyah contradicted the Sunnah peacefully, and he knew he was contradicting Sunnah, and he kept on doing contradicting without caring, and he knew that it's haram. I finished.
Are you still continuing?
Yeah.
You're finished?
Yeah, finished.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to clarify before Jihadist continues, the instance of the admin posting the hadith in debate sources was not any instance of a 1v3 debate or anyone taking aim at you. It was simply because Jihadist was having trouble posting his source and they posted it on his behalf. Any insinuation that it was people against you is without basis. And Jihadist, your 10 minutes begins now.
Okay. First and foremost, in terms of the first thing I'll address is the quote from Ibn Taymiyyah. Right? This is very common and ajib thing that occurs when the Shia proceed to provide evidence, is that they don't read the entire thing. Okay. In the beginning, it talks about what? In terms of the ahadith found in the tawarikh. In the tawarikh. What it essentially means in the tawarikh is very simple. the ahadith found in the Tarikh in terms of Fada'il Muawiyah are not found within the Tawarikh and the Sahih of the Tawarikh. That's what he's explaining. It says that at the very top in red, right here. This is what it translates to. So he's talking about the authenticity of hadiths within the Tarikh. That's number one. Number two, if we take a look at Sharh Imam al-Nawawi on the hadith of Sahih Muslim. By the way, my opponent throughout his entire explanation has completely strawman my entire claim and my entire argument, and this may be from a fault of him misunderstanding the English language or the sorts, but regardless of the case, I think my points are pretty clear to the audience. Sahal ibn Sa'ad, this is in regards to the hadith of Sahal ibn Sa'ad of Marwan was upon his governor of Medina. He called Sahal ibn Sa'ad it says ordered him, but in Arabic it doesn't say ordered, it says he inquired of him to insult Ali. He said, what's preventing you from insulting Ali? Yeah, he asked him, what is preventing you from insulting Ali? Imam al-Nawawi in his Sharh of Muslim, he directly explains to us that Muawiyah did not actually insult Ali, nor is there dalil of him insulting Ali. And this is from Sharh al-Nawawi of Imam Muslim. Now, in regards to the hadith that he just threw away, and he said, in terms of Ibn Sa'ad, and the hadith that he threw away that I all provided him, and I told him about the matan. These hadith are very of vehement importance to the Sunnah. So when it comes to the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it is important and very necessary for the matan to not contradict each other, for there to be fluidity within the ahadith. And from what we see, there are many sahih hadith in the ahadith and the shuruh that we have that assign Muawiyah certain prophecies of which the Prophet would not do. Not only that, all of these ahadith are standing. You are bringing me, even if Muawiyah, even if Ibn Taymiyyah is a hujjah upon us and he is Shaykh al-Islam, alhamdulillah, you are taking his words out of context because he provides names for the chapters and everything. For example, I will now ask you just a very simple question, Dolisty. Okay? What does the word What is the name of the red part? What is written in the red part above the hadith you listed?
Say again.
What is the name? What is the red ink above the hadith you posted in Ibn Taymiyyah's book? Read it, please, to me. Translate it in English.
وأما حديث سعد لما أمره معاوية بالسب فأبى.
No. The book of Ibn Taymiyyah that you posted. منهج الشرح سنة النبوية. What does it say? I put it in. I copied the picture and I put it at the bottom. I want you to translate it to English to everyone in the audience.
مثل تاريخ مصر بعساكر. What does it say in exact?
The red link. Translate it to English.
وهكذا المصنفون في التاريخ.
What does this mean?
The writers in the books of Tarikh.
Okay, is Ibn Taymiyyah saying this is his statements, or is saying this is the view of the people who author Tarikh?
Where does he say this in the page? I didn't use this word. I was not pointing to this statement of his.
No, listen, because it's one continuous paragraph. Yeah? When you write that one continuous paragraph, you read the entire paragraph. This entire thing, look, I posted the image. Yeah? It's saying, وَهَكَذَا المصنفون في التواريخ. وَهَكَذا المصنفون في التواريخ. Is this Ibn Taymiyyah saying, or is this Ibn Taymiyyah saying this is the saying of the people who do history?
Ibn Taymiyyah is saying there's no authentic merit for Muawiyah. This is what he's saying.
Okay, I will repeat the question one more time so it's clear to the audience. What does the red say in English? وَهَكَذَا الْمُصَنِّفُونَ فِي التَّوَارِيخ. What does this mean in English?
And the writers in Tarikh, he is explaining what they are doing, and he says that there is no authentic merit for Muawiyah.
Okay, so he's explaining what they are saying. Yeah? So, this is, as we concluded, like I was saying earlier, this is not the words of Ibn Taymiyyah. And hence this is why they try to take Ibn Taymiyyah out of context. This is the words of the writers. He read it, he said it himself. Yeah? وَهَكَذَا الْمُصَنِّفُونَ فِي التَّوَارِيخ. He's saying this is what the writers of history say. He's not saying this is what he's saying. Okay, so Ibn Taymiyyah is free from this accusation that you just threw at him. Second of all, do you know, have you read Sharh al-Nawawi of that hadith?
Send it.
You just said,
Send it.
did you not read it?
Sharh al-Nawawi?
No. What does Imam
What is
al-Nawawi
it?
say about this hadith in the Sharh of Sahih Muslim?
Send it.
No, I'm asking you. Do you know or no?
Send
So
it.
I'm able to. Well,
Send it.
I will send it, but please first tell me, do you know or do you not know?
I'm not sure. Just send it. Just send it, and we will read it together.
So you do not know. Okay, no problem.
This all okay.
All right. So if we take a look, here we go. Let's find it here in Sharh al-Nawawi. Let's open it up here. In Sharh al-Nawawi, this is what he says in regards to this hadith. Here it is. He says, this hadith does not mean that Muawiyah ordered Sa'ad to insult Ali. But, as it is obvious, Muawiyah wanted to know the reason that prevented Sa'ad from insulting Ali. And Nawawi says, Muawiyah's saying does not declare that he ordered Sa'ad to insult Ali, but asked him for the reason that prevented them from insulting. As if Muawiyah was saying to him, have you refrained from insulting Ali as a result of piety, fear, or anything like that? If this was as a result of piety and veneration to refrain from insulting, then you are rightful. And if it were other than that, then there would be another answer. Or it might be that Sa'ad was in a group of people who insults Ali, and he did not insult Ali with them. Because we know that during the time of the Umayyads, there were people in the army that used to insult Ali because Khawarij were widespread. And could not prevent them and controverted them. So Muawiyah asked him this question. They said, and it may have another explanation. And that what prevented you from making Ali wrong in his thought and opinion, and to show people our good opinion and thought that Ali was wrong. So Muawiyah is inquiring. He's asking Sa'ad. He's telling him, what prevents you from insulting Ali? And the main answer that the Nawawi proceeds to give us is this is Muawiyah testing Sa'ad ibn Waqqas. He's asking him a simple question. If it was a result of piety and veneration from insulting, then you are rightful. You are rightful. Yani he is upon the truth. And if it were other than that, then there would be another answer. This is what Sharh Imam al-Nawawi says. Were you aware of this before I move on to the next point? The next piece of evidence?
Go ahead.
Were you aware of this? I want yes or no, please.
I will point it out in my talk. Go ahead.
Okay, so you were not aware of this. I will take it as you were not aware of this. Okay, let me read it. Was not aware of Imam al-Nawawi. Explanation.
One minute and 25 seconds remaining.
May I request an additional 4 minutes from the administration?
An additional 4 minutes would work, yes.
All right. Okay. So till now, on top of this, in which he was not aware of an-Nawawi's explanation of this hadith, but rather he has received his own istinbat and he proceeded to commit a form of ijtihad on the Sharh of Sahih Muslim. It is very, very clear and understood that Muawiyah did not order the cursing, but rather questioned him. My claim is not that Ibn Taymiyyah called Ali ibn Turab. I said Muawiyah called Ali ibn Turab, or Abu Turab. My apologies. So if Muawiyah is calling him Abu Turab, yeah, that is a name that is loved by Ali. So Muawiyah, when he calls him Abu Turab, that's a good name. He's not referring to him in a derogatory manner or anything of the sort. Why would he call him Abu Turab? Why would he just say Ali ibn Abi Talib? Now, all in regards to this is just appeal to emotional fallacies. Okay. Now, what I wanted to bring out is the origin of their talks and what they try to bring. Okay, and what they have proceeded to say, and in terms of Mirqat Sharh Mishqat, or in terms of Mullah Ali Qari, in terms of Muhabbiddin al-Tabari, the issue where he proceeds to say that Muawiyah ordered Sa'ad to curse Abu Turab is actually false, because there is no provided isnad for this version of the narration where it says Muawiyah ordered. Muawiyah did not order he questioned the origin of the version of the hadith that he proceeded to bring, where he says Muawiyah ordered, is not the one in Sahih Muslim. This again, because my opponent will come out and say Jihadist saying Sahih Muslim is fabricated and the sort. That is not the case. What I'm trying to explain here is something very simple. I'm saying that the hadith, the version of the hadith he is listing that is saying Muawiyah ordered, is not the one in Sahih Muslim. Imam al-Nawawi proceeds to explain that Muawiyah inquired. And Sahih li ghayrihi is a form of Sahih grading that is applied. Another thing, in terms of now, I noticed previously he proceeded to bring up the understanding of al-bidayah wal-nihaya. Yeah? Where he will try to use this and say that Ibn Kathir says that Muawiyah went from Hajj the side of Sa'd ibn Waqqas and said to him, O Abi Ishaq, we are the people of who abandoned Hajj because of wars and forgotten his loss and performed inside your tawaf while they completed Hajj. He, Muawiyah, entered upon Sa'd in the conference room. So then he, Muawiyah, mentioned Ali ibn Abi Talib and cursed him. Sa'd said, you brought me to your house and made me sit on your sofa, then you have begun to curse Ali. This is the thing that they try to provide to us as the basis from our books. As I requested additional 4 minutes. Did I? No?
Yes, you have a little over 2 minutes remaining.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. So this is the main essence of the narration that they bring us to try and justify their explanation. Okay? The issue is the following. In the Mustadrak of Imam al-Dhahabi, and version 4, page 117, he explained that this is a hadith that is not only when he put it there, he actually points out that it is gharib. Yeah? And he questions the authenticity of certain people in the hadith. There is an individual in the chain, which is Abu Zar'a al-Dimashqi, in which Ahmad ibn Hanbal says this individual is not trustworthy, so the narration is automatically weak. خلاص نهاية الموضوع. Second thing.
Say again, who and in which? Say again, please.
Is the individual?
Yeah, and in which hadith?
Abu Zar' al-Dimashqi in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, volume 7, page 34, the Virtues of Ali, where it tries to make the claim that Muawiyah cursed Ali. This hadith is da'if because of Abu Zar' al-Dimashqi. He had ghulu, and he is untrustworthy. Matruk al-Hadith. Second of all of these additional ahadith, which my opponent has not yet provided the thiqat for the isnad and the
30
following
seconds remaining.
Other than he has not provided the istidrak or the understanding of the thiqa of the isnad in terms of what we are talking about. So what I would suggest from you, dear brother, is if you are able to provide to me, as you said earlier, which you have still currently failed to do, to provide to me the isnad and the thiqa of the isnad, and to also not only provide to me the understanding of why we should accept these additional ahadith you are sending that have a problem with the matan. يعني لديها مشكلة في المتن لأنها تخالف حديث صحيحة. You have not provided that. So I'm asking you, لماذا نقبل الأحاديث الذي رسلت لنا إياها بالفهم أنها حسنة، تعتبر حسن ولكن ليست صحيحة لأنها تخالف الصحيح، فنحن نرفض من هذا الحسن ونقبل الصحيح.
Okay. Thank you for that rebuttal. With that, Dolisty, I will give you 15 minutes for rebuttal since Jihadist had 15 minutes. You don't have to use all of it, but feel free to begin now.
Yalla, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So first of all, I am very shocked and amazed at the same time for you using Minhaj of An-Nawawi. If you remember yesterday when we had the chat between both of us, you said it's not Hujjah because Nawawi isn't a Hanbali, neither he is an Athar. I am I don't know how what is this contradiction that you fell into? You leaving the words of Ibn Taymiyyah, your Shaykh al-Islam, his clear words that says this hadith in Muslim is clear, and this hadith in Muslim points out that that Muawiyah ordered the insulting of Imam Ali. You leaving and not caring for the words of Ibn Taymiyyah, who is an Athari, who is your Shaykh al-Islam, who is a Hanbali, and you are going for an Ash'ari and an Shafi'i. And you said Minhaj yesterday, if you remember correctly, I asked you, is Minhaj a Hujjah? You told me, no, it is not a Hujjah. Okay, if you remember, you fell into a contradiction. And secondly, you are not transmitting the whole words of Sharh al-Nawawi. What Nawawi said? إن معاوية قال لسعد بن أبي وقاص منعك أن تسب أبا تراب. قال العلماء الأحاديث الواردة التي في ظاهرها دخل على صحابي التي ظاهرها دخل على صحابي يجب تأويلها قال ولا يقع في رواية الثقات إلا ما يكون تأويله. The scholars said all these hadith that on the Zahir that it's talking about Sahaba, talking about Sahaba, we must do ta'wil. We must change the meaning. We must give another explanation for it because they are Sahaba. We can't say this about them. So this proves that An-Nawawi actually admits that this hadith is Muawiyah insulting Imam Ali as the Zahir. I don't care about him and other ulama and other scholars trying to do ta'wil. It's not a hujjah. We read the hadith and it's clear that says that Muawiyah was insulting, as Ibn Taymiyyah said, and as he stated, he not only insulted, also ordered Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, and also Imam said it, and also I showed you the hadith al-sahih, and you are saying the hadith contradicting. Show me a hadith, a sahih hadith, where it says that Muawiyah didn't insult. Show me a sahih hadith, then we can discuss the contradiction. You bringing me the words of ulama that say that Muawiyah didn't insult, this is baseless, this is useless, this is not to be considered because they are lying, and the hadith is here. I show them to you. I showed them to you that this hadith are sahih, and that Muawiyah insulted and cursed. Okay. Second, when you brought up the thing about Abu Turab, if one is going to attack someone, they attack them throughout the thing of the most. Because Imam Ali loved the name of Abu Turab, they used it as a way to insult him. They used this name to defame him and to insult and to curse him. This is why they used this name. Not because they loved him, they used his favorite name. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is the explanation. This is the correct explanation on why they used this name. Okay. And you said where is the ordering of Muawiyah insulting? It doesn't mention. As I told you, it's from as Ibn Taymiyyah understood it, and as Imam al-Sindi understood it, that it's ordering Muawiyah is ordering Muawiyah. And the first sentence in the hadith, جاء معاوية فأمر سعدا فقال له ما يمنعك أن تسب أبا التراب ما منعك أمر سعدا. He ordered Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, what makes you not insult Imam Ali? The sentence doesn't make sense. There's definitely some kind of playing and some kind of corruption that happened to this hadith. Because why does it say in Ibn Majah something which is definitely the Sunan Ibn Majah and the Sunan and the Sahih Muslim, they are talking about one thing. They are talking about one event, the same thing. In the Sunan Ibn Majah, it's clear, but in Sahih Muslim, there is a corruption. There is playing in the hadith, because the matan is doesn't make sense. Amar Sa'dan faqala ma mana'aka. It's clear that he ordered him to do something, but he didn't. Then he asked him, what makes you not insult Imam Ali? Okay. And another thing you brought up, a narration from Tariq ibn Kathir. I don't know why you brought it up. We are not talking about it, and you brought up some majhul or some ghali, as you said, and you tried to weaken him. We are not talking about him actually. We are not talking about him and his narration. We are talking about the one in Muslim and the one in Ibn Majah, and we are talking about the understanding of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and of the understanding of Imam al-Sindi. Another thing also talked about, you said that this وَهَكَذَا الْمُصَنِّفُونَ فِي التَّارِيخ. Look, I will translate for you and for the people so they can understand what Ibn Taymiyyah is actually saying here. These are the words of Ibn Taymiyyah. They are not. He's not quoting anyone. And like this, he's saying, and like this, the writers in history, like Ibn Asakir in his book, The History of Dimashq, and others, if he is writing the tariq of one of the khulafa or another, he transmits everything there is, even if it's sahih or not. فيذكر لعلي ومعاوية من الأحاديث المروية في فضلها ما يعرف من أهل الحديث أنه كذب. And they transmit to Ali merits that Ahlul Hadith, that the scholars know are lies. But for Ali, there are merits that are authentic in As-Sahihain and other sources. And Muawiyah, there is no authentic merit for him on specifically. But he was with the Prophet in Hunayn, in the Battle of Hunayn, and in Ta'if, Tabuk, and وحج معه حجة الوداع. So basically, the only virtue for Muawiyah, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, is he was just a Sahabi. He was with him in his events, when he was in his battles and other kinds of places. So the point you were trying to make, it's wrong. You are the one who misunderstood what Ibn Taymiyyah was saying, not me. Okay, how much time do I have left?
You have 7 minutes. 7 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
7 minutes. Okay, wait. Also, this is a hadith where it says it's that Turab is the favorite name of Imam Ali. Okay. Yeah, so here it says قال فدعا سهل بن سعد, he's talking about someone from Al Marwan. استعمل على المدينة رجل آل مروان قال فدعا سهل بن سعد فأمره أن يجتمع عليا قال فأبى سهل فقال لهم أما إذا أبيت فقل لا الله أبا تراب فقال سهل ما كان لعلي اسم أحب إليه من أبي تراب. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas here is proving that this is the favorite name for Imam Ali, and they are using it to curse. They are using this name to curse Imam Ali, not to show his merits. And the guy who ordered Sa'd is an Umawi. He's just like he's one of the people of followers of Muawiyah. So you are saying, why did Muawiyah use the name Abu Turab? This contradicts this hadith. They were using Abu Turab to curse him, just like I showed to you. And Sa'd is telling them that it's one of his favorite names. Okay, and another thing, let me see. Yeah, and another thing for when you use the Minhaj, even though he's not a hujjah upon you, as you said, he didn't provide a sanad chain or for what he said. Okay, I am showing you in Sharah. I am showing to you a Sahih hadith where scholars understood from it that Muawiyah insulted, and you are bringing me someone who is not hujjah on you, and you are using him to prove your point. Okay. Astaghfirullah. If the reason, let me. How much time do I have left?
You have a total of 5 minutes left.
Minutes. Okay. So I want to go to another. I want to speak on why we took a lot of time until we started the debate. I was actually discussing with Jihadist that I didn't want him to start with his point, or at least we didn't want to stay this long on his point, because I wouldn't be able to change and go to my other points about Muawiyah contradicting the Sunnah. I have at least 5, perhaps 6 places and events where Muawiyah purposefully contradicted the Sunnah, and he knew that what he was doing is contradicting the Sunnah, and he didn't care. I want to move on. I want to go ahead and present my points and my statements. Your first statement and your talk was about as-Suluh of Imam al-Hasan. Now we finished it. Now we came to the Sab of Imam Ali, and I have showed to you everything. If you don't want to accept it, I don't care. I showed it to the people. I showed to them that Muawiyah did insult as Shaykh al-Islam understood it, and as Imam al-Sindi understood it, and the Hadith al-Sahih in different inspectors say that it's Sahih. You are claiming that it's baseless. You are saying that it contradicts. You are saying that it contradicts other Sahih Hadiths. Where does it say that Muawiyah? Where does a Sahih Hadith say that Muawiyah never insulted Imam Ali? I wish you can present it to me, and if there was, then we can discuss the contradiction, and we will see where how we can solve it. And I don't believe there is, because if there was, Ibn Taymiyyah would have been the first one to go ahead and bring it up and repeat it in his book Minhaj al-Sunnah. But he did not. He actually proved that Muawiyah insulted Imam Ali. I wish I can now. I wish this will end this discussion after you finishing Jihadist, because I really want to go ahead and go to my other points. My other points were about contradicting the Sunnah, and the Prophet cursing Muawiyah, and the Prophet stating that Muawiyah will die on another religion. These are my points that I wanted to state, but I haven't. I was unable to talk about any of them, because until now we are only discussing your point. I finished.
And of course, a resort to Jihadist. So, without further ado, you have 10 minutes to make your closing statement.
Okay, so my closing statement will be consistent of so far what we have established. Now, what I'm going to point out as our final response to what he said about An-Nawawi. Yes, An-Nawawi is not my personal hujjah from madhab basis. But the opponent so far has proceeded to show weak knowledge of hadith sciences by mixing up hujjat al-ilm and taqweem al-ahadith. Taqweem al-ahadith is independent from hujjat al-ilm. For example, if An-Nawawi gave a fatwa in terms of something, this would only apply to the Shafi'i madhab, not the Hanbali madhab. This is called hujjat al-ilm. The second thing is taqweem al-ahadith is mujtama', meaning that it doesn't matter which madhab you come from. The taqweem of the hadith spans everything. Second of all, the taqweem of ahadith, the taqweem itself of the ahadith, is completely independent and separate from hujjat al-ilm. You seem to think, or my opponent seems to think, that hujjat al-ilm is somehow correlated with taqweem al-hadith, which is entirely nonsensical and poor understanding of hadith sciences. He proceeded to confuse tadlis and ta'wil min al-dhann. For those who don't know what that means, tadlis means fabricating, ta'wil means creating an understanding, min al-dhann meaning from goodness of thinking. That means if a scholar proceeds to come and he says this individual is a good person, then you have to give him husn al-dhann, meaning benefit of the doubt. And he proceeds to quote this out as tadlis, which he falsely misinterprets, and then proceeds to falsely accuse the individual of tadlis. My opponent also proceeded to falsely and intentionally misinterpret Ibn Taymiyyah's words, despite in front of the entire audience publicly admitting that Ibn Taymiyyah is saying directly that this is the words of the people who did history, and nothing to do with his sayings. He actually listed that himself when he translated it to English, but slipped it off away as his own personal understanding. Another thing we established throughout the debate is that he falsely pulled the ruling of Muawiyah through a concoction of the following issues that we have listed, without providing istinbat, which is the explanation of the Shar'i ruling that were supposed to be explained throughout the debate, which he failed to do. Another thing that my opponent failed to do is establish the differences of the taqweem of the ahadith that he provided and provide us with a solid grounded matan, and proceeded to commit the Texas sharpshooter fallacy by proceeding to instigate random point concoctions between the points that he was making without showing the relation of the two, which is called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy that would render his logic as fallacious and invalid. And he proceeded to commit the Mott and Bailey fallacy throughout the entire debate, which is saying that, for those who don't know what the Mott and Bailey fallacy is, it's simply by providing an occasion of one individual and then backing it up by proceeding to claim that we have to follow this individual and therefore that's the normalized thought. Hence, by his words, which I will proceed to quote, he proceeded to say that Imam al-Nawawi, this is an individual that is an Athari and a Salafi, so therefore you have to accept it from him. You cannot accept from al-Nawawi. If you do not accept, then you are upon falsehood. This is now the Mott and Bailey fallacy because he's hidden his point in a Mott, and the Bailey is the taqweem al-hadith issue that I have brought up earlier, which he seems to be misunderstanding of. The second thing that I wanted to point out is in terms of taqweem. The taqweem states an issue of the matan. We require the state of the matan to be cleared up, which my opponent has not provided. So as far as I'm concerned, he did not provide any ta'deel of the matan. He did not provide valid, credible evidences to prove his points, but rather he dilly-dallied between separate and completely separated points from one another and enforced and suggested and reassured and reasserted that we should just accept it rather than engage with me in investigating the claims that he made, and instead proceeded to yell out, it's your books, you have to accept it. Now, what I've also pointed out here is that this all leads up to the understanding of his logic and rationalism. Now, rationally, throughout this entire debate, I have written basically an understanding of what his logical arguments are made. Yeah. So claims are built on logical understanding, okay? And claims are made on rational basis. So when someone proceeds to claim, if he makes a claim that is fallacious, what this proceeds to do is it essentially creates a rift in your logic, and your logic proceeds to lead to an irrelevant conclusion. Because the logic becomes flawed. You are committing something fallacious. And a fallacy is self-contradicting thought. Now, there's a formal fallacy and an informal fallacy. All of which the opponent has committed would be informal fallacies, which basically means fallacies that are done unintentionally that invalidate the entire syllogism that he made. Okay? So what we have prescribed today, what I have understood from my opponent today is the following, is that when Ibn Taymiyyah quotes the historians, he is actually speaking. He's not quoting the historians anymore, despite him admitting that he's quoting the historians. What I have also established from what my opponent said thus far is that a munafiq is not a kafir, and actually eating from the food of kuffar that are not from Ahl al-Kitab, who are worse than Ahl al-Kitab, is halal, despite them being destined to hellfire and Allah saying that for them there shall be no helper. But he also proceeded to invite the understanding or try to reassert the fallacious claims that he makes. Now, what I'm going to provide to everyone in this chat, and I'll put it in debate sources, is a very interesting video clip that I have, and I have collected over the past few days. Now, what this video clip entails, and it will come in the form of a zip folder, okay? And in this zip folder, you will find something interesting, which will reveal that this individual, my opponent, and the reason why he struggled in debating me, was narrating from a script. And what this script is essentially a group of printed documents in terms of him not even understanding what is being written. He actually just copied it from one of his teachers and as to such reasons why, and it's being posted in debate sources currently, these 2 video clips. It comes in the form of zip folder. If you open it via the zip file, you can find the 2 videos that will be located in that zip folder, in which this is as to why the reason as he struggled in terms of responding to any of the points that I have made, and proceeded to instead run around and beat around the bush instead of explaining his point of this and his side of the story. And may I request an additional 4 minutes, please?
Due to the nature of the closing statement, I don't think we can afford to give more time. But you have 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining.
Okay. So to put it very clear, I think what I have pointed out is very evident. The opponent has not provided any of the defenses of his points and proceeded to loosely jump between topic to topic. Yani, wallahi, I have not expected anything more than a gigantic concoction of random claims, but all is well. And alhamdulillah that I've pushed forth my point to the audience. And inshallah, they can see through this charade of copy-pasting random printed documents sent to him by his closest friends in hopes that somehow and through some way he will just be free of committing all these random logical fallacies and not addressing or answering any of the rebuttals that have been presented to him, but rather just doing a proof by assertion, by claiming the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting something to change. I would like to close my following I would like to finish my closing statement by reciting something that Imam Malik radiyallahu anhu says. And Imam Malik proceeds to say in this saying that
20 seconds.
If you see anyone speaking ill of the companions and the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then doubt his Islam. And whoever insults the companions invokes the wrath of Allah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So how much time do I have?
You have 10 minutes. I think Jihadist went a bit over, so provided if you needed, you can go a bit over as well. So begin.
And after this is the end of the debate?
These are the closing statements. So this will mark the end of the debate. I think there might be a Q&A.
I didn't even discuss, guys, I didn't even discuss any of the things that, only the thing of Muawiyah insulting, and I proved from the words of Ibn Taymiyyah and Imam Sindi, and all of this copying is unrelated. Anyways, I didn't discuss my other 3 topics that we agreed on, of course, but let's see, I will go ahead and discuss them fastly and on about Muawiyah to prove to you that he's a munafiq. Okay, so first of all, in Musnad Imam Ahmed, Muawiyah drank a drink that is haram, and he knows that it's haram. In Muawiyah in Sahih Muslim, he does the people kill themselves and eat and waste their money by batil, and it contradicts the Quran. In Sunan Abi Dawood, Muawiyah wears gold, which is haram, wears silk, which is haram, and wears the skin of beasts and animals, which is also haram, and he knew that it's haram. Okay, in Muwatta Imam Malik, Muawiyah was doing riba, and the Sahabi Abu Darda told him that it is haram, it's not allowed, and he said, I don't think it is, there is a problem with it. He used his opinion against the hadith of Rasulullah from a Sahabi. And what does Ibn Taymiyyah says in his book تعارض العقل والنقل معارضة أقوال الأنبياء بآراء الرجال وتقديم عليه ومن فعل المكذبين للرسل بل هو ماعي كل كفر. Those who use their opinions in front of the ahadith and of the words of the Rasul, of the messengers, are kuffar, is the doings of the kuffar. Now we know who is a kafir. Okay, and in also Muawiyah and his alcohol trade, and him trading al-khamr wal-a'udhu billah. In Siyar A'lam Nubala, we read this, that Muawiyah was trading alcohol. He was either buying it or selling it. Either way, it is haram, and Muawiyah was doing it. And I have posted another scans to prove that the hadith are sahih. Okay, and in and Muawiyah also selling idols, statues and idols. In Kitab Asab al-Ashraf, he was sending ships filled with statues and idols to India, to the land of India, where he was selling it, and he knew, and of course everyone knows it's haram. Okay, and another thing, him adopting Ziyad, who is not his brother. He said that he's his brother. He adopted him. And it is haram, and all the Sahaba told him that it is not allowed, but he didn't care. Let me show it to you. So we read in Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, in the footnote of Shu'aib al-Arnaut, he said, ومن ادعى وأخرج مسلم, at the end, سمع أبو سفيان بن حرب كلام زياد عن وكان بليغا فأعجبه فقال إن لا أعرف من وضعه. So basically Muawiyah adopted Ziyad and said he is my brother from my father Abu Sufyan. Okay, and he used one or two people to prove it to him, while it is haram. He contradicted the Sahih hadith, al-walad al-firash wal-ahir al-hajar, and he knew it was Sahih, yet he contradicted it. Okay, and let's see what do we read in Fayd al-Qadir للناوي. قال المناوي وأول من استلحق في الإسلام ولد الزنا معاوية, and the first to adopt the son of zina in Islam is Muawiyah, the first one to contradict the Sunnah. And what do we read in سلسلة الأحاديث الصحيحة for Al-Albani? أول من يغير سنتي رجل من بني أمية. First to contradict my Sunnah and go against it is a man from Banu Umayyah. And what does Al-Albani say down? He says ولعل المراد بالحديث تغيير النظام اختيار الخليفة وجعله وراثة. And he says perhaps the meaning of this hadith is changing the way of appointing Khilafah from Shura to inheritance. He is pointing to Muawiyah in here. Muawiyah is the first to contradict the Sunnah of the Prophet, as this Sahih hadith. I have showed many occasions, many hadith here that Muawiyah are Sahih, contradicting the Sunnah, and he knows that they are what he's doing. Also, another topic I was supposed to talk about, but of course people here and Jihadists didn't give me enough time, and they want to finish up. Okay, يخرج عليكم رجل يموت على غير ملتي. In here, Ansab al-Ashraf, Prophet said that Muawiyah will die on another religion than Islam. Okay, this hadith is Sahih, Ishaq, and all of the people of the Sanad. There's two ways for this hadith. One is weak, one is Sahih. The first one, which is Sahih, the people are narrators of Sahihain, and you can check it. Okay, and also, okay, wait. Rasulullah cursing Muawiyah and Abu Sufyan. Here are the hadith. Yes, I know Ishaq. I'll prove it to you who this is Ishaq. Okay, just wait. If you want to discuss it, I will discuss it with you. المعجم الكبير. Okay. In the hadith in أنساب الأشراف للبلاذري, أن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام كان جالسا فمر أبو سفيان على بعير ومعه معاوية وأخ له, وقال رسول الله لعن الله الحامل والمحمول والقائد والسائق. Prophet صلى الله عليه وآله basically just cursed Abu Sufyan and Muawiyah. Okay, he cursed them, and here you can see all the proving. And also in Tarikh al-Tabari it says ومنه قول الرسول عليه السلام وقد رآه مقبلا على حمار ومعاوية يقود به وابنه يسوق به لعن الله القائد والراكب والسائق. Also mentioned in Tarikh al-Tabari, Prophet cursed Abu Sufyan and cursed Muawiyah and cursed Yazid, his brother. Bahr al-Zakhar, it mentions the hadith, but what does it say? It doesn't mention the name. It doesn't mention the name. We know this kind of playing the hadith. In a lot of cases, we can prove it also where when there is a hadith that is critical, they change the name, they put fulan wa fulan أو كذا وكذا. It says لعن الله القائد والسائق والراكب. It says وقال الهيثمي رواه البزار ورجاله ثقات. The men are all authentic. In مجمع الزوائد, it mentions the same thing. ولعن الله القائد والسائق فمر رجل. It says a man came. Does it mention who was it? Okay, it says a man, and it says the Prophet cursed him. Also said رواه البزار ورجاله ثقات. Also authentic. Okay. What else did I? Let me see. Did I forget anything? Also in معجم الكبير للطبراني, Imam al-Hasan basically said Amr ibn al-As cursed Imam Ali, and Shu'bah, Mughira bin Shu'bah also cursed Imam Ali, and then Imam al-Hasan told them, do you know that the Rasulullah said لعن الله السائق والراكب أحدهم فلان? Do you know that the Prophet cursed some people cursed fulan? And they are saying yes. Who is this fulan? It's clear who is this fulan. They are trying to hide it from everyone. So anyways, this is my final statement. If you want to discuss it, Jihadist, I am free to discuss this. Let's go ahead. And if you don't want, I dare you to keep this chat open to people to see these scans and to look at them and know the haqq, if you really want to know the haqq. Okay? I really hope we can continue, because this is what we agreed on, and this is what we both said yes to. Yet I was unable to discuss anything, only the thing about cursing, Muawiyah cursing. Okay? Ya Allah, I finished my final statement. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.